Hi, it's Lisa. I'm doing a little technique video today to talk about how to print on journaling cards. I had the question the other day of how to print on tags. I had done this page and I printed my information on a tag that I cut on the silhouette. The process that I use is pretty much the same whether you're doing tags or you're doing something like a journaling card or anything else that you want to print text from your computer directly on top of it. The basic process I learned from Nicole McGuirk, I believe, some years ago now, and I used to try to resize documents and fit things, small things through the printer, and this method is much easier, but it does take a little bit of extra effort to get things lined up, and I'm going to show you what I do to help me line things up. The basic process is I'm going to type up my text in Microsoft Word, you could use any word processor, and send it through the printer on a regular sheet of paper, and then I'm going to do a little extra something to it to help align this card, and then I'll put the card onto the paper, run it back through the printer, and it will print directly onto the card. I'm also going to talk a little bit in this video about the printers that work the best for this kind of thing and those that will give you the most trouble and kind of ways around that. First thing though that I need to do is figure out how much space I've got here to work with, because I have a fairly small area on this card. It's a 3x4 card, but I've only got about no more than 2 inches by, again, about 2 inches by 2 inches, and then I've got a little bit more area over here that I can work with. So I'm going to go ahead and type up some text in Word and print that out on regular paper, and we'll go from there. Okay, so here's my text that I'm going to print. Now, if your paper is thin enough, sometimes you can just lay your card over it and hold it up to the light and kind of see where it's going. And this one is actually not doing too bad. You can't see this on camera, but I'm holding it up to a light and I can see fairly well where that needs to go. But sometimes you just can't. And this is pretty thick paper. It's a lighter color background, so I could see through it a little bit. If it were a dark background, that would be really hard to do. So what I usually do is I take a pencil pen, doesn't matter, and I just mark going across where the bottom of the text is, where the top of the text is printing, and where the sides are printing. And notice I'm going way off the sides, and there's a reason for that. Okay. So now I can take my card and I can kind of figure out, knowing that my text is inside this block, where I want it to print, how far over and how far down I want this to go. And then with that in mind, then I can take some removable adhesive and just put underneath the card. So if the holding it up method doesn't do it, you can always do these lines, and then you'll know exactly it's going to print below this line, above this line, and over here. And I've got some sort of wrapping around there. I think that's going to work out fine. So I'm going to take my removable adhesive. This happens to be Tombow. It can be any kind of removable adhesive. Put a fair amount on there, especially if you're doing something thick like this Cartavella paper. And I'm going to need to get this down here where I can see good with my eyes where we're going to be falling. Okay. And one thing I always also do is kind of look to make sure that it's lined up evenly with the side and the top of the paper, that I've got about the same amount of distance here. Usually I just eyeball it, but you can take a ruler and measure and make sure it's good and straight, because that's assuming that the paper is that it's going to print straight when it goes through the printer, then you'll know that it's going to come out straight on your card. So now we're going to take this to the printer, and I'm just going to run it back through again. So I'm here at my Epson printer, and I'm just going to insert this into the printer, and it will come out down through here. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit about printers. I have a printer that feeds the paper from the rear of the printer out to the front. So now it's come out, and you can see that it printed just perfectly on that card. And it printed below this line, above this line, inside these two lines, just where I had it marked. And just easy to remove because it has that removable adhesive on it. And I purposely did this in blueprint, and that kind of goes with the layout that that we're working on, and there'll be a link to the process video if you're interested in the whole page that this goes with. Now, the comment I made about the printers, the paper going in the back and coming out, going from a rear feed and then coming out the front. The reason that is the most helpful is because the paper only has to turn 90 degrees. There are a lot of printers, I know the HP models, not all, I don't know if all of them do this, but I know some of them do, and we had an HP for years where the paper would come in at the bottom and it would have to make a full 180 degree turn before it came out at the top. Well, that card or whatever you put in there has got to make that 180 degree turn, and a lot of things, especially heavier papers, just won't do that, and that's where you'll get a lot of paper jams. So that was the only printer we ever had like that. I used it back when my husband and I got married. I did all of our wedding invitations and programs and everything, and I remember staying up till midnight every night of the week before we got married trying to get the programs and stuff done because they were hard to feed and I was having jams, and I just have to babysit the printer. So never again. I went to a printer like the Epson that comes in the back and out the bottom, and there are probably lots of other printers like that, and I haven't printer shopped in a long time, so I don't know what all is out there, but that's just a tip in my opinion, especially if you're doing a lot of fancy or unusual sizes and types of paper, that they tend to feed better that way. So thank you for joining me today. I hope this answers the question of how you print. When I did this in Word, I just set my margins. You can see I moved it down quite a ways on the page so I'd have plenty of room and it wouldn't be right up at the top, and moved it over, and then just to formatted it however I wanted with the particular fonts and colors and things. And and then drawing the lines and gluing this on with some removable adhesive, sending it back through the printer, and you've got something that looks very custom done for your page. Thanks for watching.